Have you ever dealt with a neighbor who simply can't keep their nose out of other people's business? Mine showed up one afternoon with a clipboard, a fluorescent vest, and an attitude like she'd been deputized by the suburbs. Her name, unsurprisingly, was Karen. She patrolled our otherwise quiet street like she had a badge, marking people down for parking too close to mailboxes, timing how long trash cans remained on the curb, and now, apparently, branding my house unsafe and phoning the city about it. Let me be clear, my house isn't falling apart. It's a well-built, freshly painted two-story that passed inspection a year ago. But in Karen's world, a crooked gutter after a storm and a porch light that occasionally blinked were proof of imminent collapse. In her mind, a flicker meant danger, a bent gutter meant catastrophe. She submitted a formal complaint to the HOA board and, naturally, styled herself the acting safety chair. Within a week, I received a bold, red-lettered notice, mandatory safety inspection required. When the inspector's appointment day came, I made sure the place looked impeccable. I cleaned the porch, tidied the yard, and yes, I baked cookies, a little hospitality, a little showmanship. The inspector arrived with his clipboard and professional smile while Karen hovered close by, arms folded, chin tilted like she already owned the judgment. She trailed him everywhere, whispering urgent-sounding hints, check under the deck, I'm worried about mold, and that gutter's a real problem. Each whisper made my chest tighten. The inspector's face said, plainly, is this real? I answered with a helpless nod. He methodically checked the structure, tapping beams, tracing wires, scrutinizing railings. After about 30 minutes, he looked up and said, everything here seems structurally sound. I'm not seeing any major issues. For a moment Karen's smugness deflated like a punctured tire. Then the inspector glanced across the street and asked her, do you live in that house? She brightened and claimed it as hers. He frowned. I don't see a current permit on the foundation tag. Have you had construction done recently? Her confident smile stumbled. No, I've lived here 15 years, she blurted. He made a note and explained that certain electrical or roofing upgrades require renewed permits every decade. Karen stumbled through excuses, you could almost hear her composure crash. I tried not to grin, but it was difficult. The woman who spent her days policing mailbox spacing and lawn lengths was about to be scrutinized by the same rules she enforced. Within 48 hours, the neighborhood was buzzing. Karen's normally glaring porch lights were off, her tidy garden flags were missing, and the little HOA president parking only sign had vanished. Rumors circulated, apparently her cherished sunroom, her pride and joy, had been slapped together without permits. Word spread like wildfire. The inspector returned, this time with a colleague, and knocked on Karen's door. They measured, photographed, and inspected. It didn't take long for the news to trickle back to us, substantial violations flagged. Electrical issues. Plumbing shortcuts. Foundation improprieties. Her alleged sanctuary was not only permitless but unsafe. The irony was delicious. A woman who had pointed fingers for a hose left in a driveway now faced a pile of code violations. That afternoon neighborhood chatter grew louder. I was out watering plants when Karen stormed outside, red-faced, phone glued to her ear, insisting she was being harassed. She saw me and glared like I'd personally orchestrated her downfall. Happy Saturday, Karen, I called, smothering my amusement. She snapped at me that the notice was a clerical error. I shrugged and quoted, half joking, that's what Al Capone said about his taxes. Her glare could have melted paint. Within a day, an orange notice of investigation was taped to her front door. The inspector had found glaring problems, no record of approvals, no electrical inspections for the wiring in the addition, wiring that, they said plainly, posed a fire hazard. The city returned with a building code officer who read the verdict aloud. The addition was considered uninhabitable until the issues were resolved. She could not use or occupy that space. Her protests were loud and dramatic, but the officers were thorough and non-negotiable, either bring the structure up to code with proper permits and licensed work, or dismantle it. The whole neighborhood seemed relieved. People gathered for a casual, celebratory barbecue, grilling, telling jokes, sipping beer, as if watching a long-running soap finally reach its climax. Halfway through, someone noticed her garage door open, boxes streamed into the trunk, and she drove away without a glance back. The very next morning a for sale sign appeared on her lawn, right where that parking sign had once stood. When new owners moved in weeks later, a cheerful, young couple, I helped them carry boxes, and they mentioned the strange disclosure about unapproved structures. I smirked and said, "Check your permits before you hang curtains." They laughed, grateful they hadn't inherited a mess. Meanwhile, the HOA moved to restore faith and order. The treasurer, Bob, assumed the role of acting president while Karen's authority was suspended pending the outcome of the city's investigation. Watching the queen of compliance get dethroned by her own bylaws felt oddly satisfying. When she appeared at the meeting, speech ready, the room was politely unamused. Bob read the board's decision, citing the bylaws, specifically the clause she herself had once enforced without mercy. She stormed out, shouting accusations of retaliation. The room tried, and failed, to keep straight faces. Karen attempted damage control, handing out flyers titled "The Truth About My Home," insisting that the inspector had made errors, but the city's official notice was already public record. The neighborhood's online groups filled with screenshots, memes, and commentary. The "permitless Karen" meme had been born. Anonymous notes began showing up in mailboxes. She started avoiding eye contact. Her mailbox ran over with snarky messages. She even tried to file harassment complaints, but whom was she going to report? Herself? Then things took a harsher turn. The city returned with a team and thick envelopes of violation notices. The inspectors had documented multiple breaches: unlicensed electrical work, plumbing done by amateurs, improper foundation supports. They handed her paperwork and explained the options: either permit and correct the work under licensed professionals, which would mean real costs and inspections, or face orders for removal. She had 30 days to comply. As neighbors watched, the drama unfolded like a neighborhood reality show. Some of us felt vindicated, others just relieved. I got a letter slid under my door a few days later with no stamp, no return address. It read, curtly, "You have created a hostile environment within this community. Cease your interference immediately or face HOA disciplinary measures." Signed, Karen H., HOA President. I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my iced tea. Interference? I had done nothing but live in a legal, inspected house. I drafted my own reply and mailed it anonymously, a professional header, a calm tone, and an attached copy of the inspector's report confirming my home was compliant and safe. The line read, "I assume you'll be submitting yours as well. No return address." A few days later Karen stormed into the HOA office and was informed that her authority had been suspended pending review. She was aghast. Bob sat in the chair she had once occupied and read the board's motion, effective immediately. It was poetic justice. The bylaws she'd quoted for others had become the instrument of her own consequence. In time, the city insisted the addition be removed or remedied. The cost would be steep, and the humiliation public. Karen's reign of petty enforcement ended not with police sirens but with a municipal clipboard and procedural regulations that insisted on permits, licensed labor, and public safety. The community breathed easier. The HOA changed procedures. Future safety checks would be carried out only by licensed professionals, not volunteer watchdogs with attitude. Weeks later, new neighbors settled into Karen's old place. They were warm and friendly, the kind of people who wave and bring over cookies. When the homeowner asked about potential permit issues, I merely smiled and said, "Always check. It saves headaches." The street returned to normal, lighter, quieter, kinder, and the petty memos and passive-aggressive warnings evaporated. A few weeks after the dust settled I received a postcard with no return address. The handwriting looked familiar. It read, "Enjoy your safe house." Not everybody appreciates irony. I laughed until I nearly dropped the card in my drink. Karma, it turned out, didn't need a permit, just timing, proper procedure, and a city truck with an inspector who knew the rules. If you liked this story, hit subscribe and ring the bell. I've got plenty more HOA madness where that came from. See you in the next one, where justice gets even more satisfying. Every neighborhood has its secrets, and every Karen leaves her mark. If you love true HOA stories like this, make sure to watch more on our channel, and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life neighborhood drama. Thank you.